I never imagined my quiet life in a sleepy Maryland suburb would turn into a high-stakes thriller, but that's exactly what happened when my HOA president, Susan Miller, showed up at my door, begging to rent my guest cabin for her cousin Marcus. It was early June 2024, and I was just trying to get through another day at my veterinary clinic in Oakwood. Susan's tearful plea seemed innocent enough. She claimed Marcus needed a place to crash for a couple of weeks while he worked on some local landscaping gigs. But when I said no, Susan transformed into my worst nightmare, launching a campaign of obsession that threatened to unravel a secret far bigger than any neighborhood spat. My cabin wasn't just a cozy retreat. It was an FBI safe house, hiding a witness whose testimony could bring down a criminal empire. And Marcus? He wasn't here for a family reunion. His real purpose could have gotten people killed. Picture this. It's 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm in my clinic, stitching up a golden retriever hit by a car the night before. The poor pup's leg is mangled, but he's a fighter, and I'm focused on saving him. Then comes this frantic banging on my front door, not the clinic, but my actual house. I'm thinking it's another emergency, so I rush over, still in my scrubs, only to find Susan standing there, mascara streaking down her face, clutching a soggy tissue. She's dressed in a pristine blazer, looking like she's about to pitch $1 million deal, but her eyes are wild with desperation. Have you ever had someone show up when you're just not ready for their drama? That was me, standing there, coffee barely kicking in, about to face Hurricane Susan. Susan's story started 8 months earlier when her husband, David, died in a tragic wreck on I-95. The whole neighborhood felt her pain. Losing your soulmate at 43 is brutal. We all rallied around her, and when she ran for HOA president on a platform of community safety and property values, most of us voted for her out of pity. Big mistake. Grief can twist people, and Susan had been spiraling, throwing herself into neighborhood projects with an intensity that felt off. Now, here she was, pleading for my cabin so her cousin Marcus could stay close while he worked in Maryland. Marcus was David's favorite cousin, she sobbed, dabbing her eyes. Having him here would be like having a piece of David back. You get how family helps you heal, right, James? I felt for her, but something didn't sit right. Susan knew too much about my cabin's comings and goings for someone just taking walks. She casually mentioned noticing the same cars every Monday and Thursday at 8:00 a.m. A blue pickup, a gray sedan, always parked the same way. Then she whipped out a notebook, rattling off license plates like she was running a sting operation. I saw the white van last Wednesday, she said, flipping pages. My gut churned. This wasn't neighborly curiosity. This was surveillance. Then she dropped a bombshell. Marcus saw pictures of your cabin and said it's perfect for his needs. Perfect for what? I pressed her, and she gave this creepy smile. Oh, you know, relaxing and working on his projects. He needs privacy. The word projects sent a shiver down my spine. What kind of landscaping needs that much secrecy? What Susan didn't know, and nobody in Oakwood did, except me and a few feds, was that my cabin had been an FBI safe house for the past 6 months. My granddad built it in 1958, long before the HOA existed, so it flew under their radar. Tucked away in a quiet corner of my property, it was ideal for federal operations, isolated, yet blending in with the suburban vibe. The FBI loved it because it looked like any other Maryland guest house, nothing suspicious. Right as Susan was talking, my encrypted phone buzzed with an urgent tone I'd come to dread. Excusing myself, I took a call from my consulting contact, really Agent Sarah Carter, warning me of increased chatter around the witness protection op. When I returned, Susan was practically vibrating with curiosity. Government work, James? She asked, leaning in like she was interrogating me. I mumbled something about vet contracts with federal facilities, but I could see her filing away every word. The red flags kept piling up. Susan's notes were meticulous: visitor schedules, car directions, even what people carried to the cabin. I really need this to work, James, she said, her voice carrying a weird edge, like she'd rehearsed this moment for months. When I declined, citing prior commitments, her tears vanished. Her posture stiffened, and for a split second, I saw something cold and calculating. I understand you want to help people, she said, her tone sharp, but the HOA has rights too. Maybe we need to review what's appropriate for our neighborhood. That wasn't a request, it was a threat. As she left, she pointed at my cabin with a smug smile. Marcus's flight is booked for Saturday. I told him about your interesting visitors and how private your property is. He's excited to see it up close. The way she said up close made my blood freeze. This wasn't about family healing. Susan was running surveillance on a federal op. The next morning, I looked out my window and saw Susan in her yard, lawn chair parked with a direct view of my cabin, binoculars in hand, scribbling in her notebook. Have you ever had a neighbor who watches your every move? Susan was that neighbor, and it was getting creepy fast. When I confronted her, she brushed it off, claiming she was taking photos for Marcus. But these weren't vacation snapshots, they were tactical, showing every angle of my property, my security cameras, even measurements between buildings. Nobody does that for a family visit. My neighbor Rachel, an attorney on the HOA board, dropped by with disturbing news. Susan was asking everyone about my schedule and what business I was running. She'd posted in the HOA group about unused community assets, like my cabin, hinting I was up to no good. Rachel also saw Susan at the bank, stressed, asking about emergency loans. Turns out, David's life insurance was tied up in a legal mess, and Susan was drowning financially, hiding it behind her perfect lawn and HOA power trips. My old friend Deputy Mark Reynolds stopped by that evening, looking grim. Susan called the station, asking about your military background and federal contracts, he said. She claims Marcus needs security clearance info for his landscaping work. Landscaping? Needing security clearances? My beer nearly went down the wrong pipe. Mark's cop instincts were screaming, and so were mine. Susan's texts from Marcus raised every alarm. Can't wait to relax in that cabin and get real work done. How did he know what it looked like? Susan admitted she'd sent him detailed photosrecon-level images of entrances, exits, and my cameras. He needs privacy for his landscaping consultations, she said. Yeah, right. Agent Carter's emergency visit confirmed my fears. Someone's running amateur background checks on your property, she said, her face tight. Your witness is spooked. I laid out Susan's behavior, and Carter's expression darkened. The FBI couldn't act openly without risking the op, leaving me stuck between protecting a witness and dealing with Susan's escalating obsession. Rachel dug into HOA finances and found Susan had siphoned $45,000 for consulting tied to Marcus's fake businesses. Private messages accidentally sent to the HOA chat showed Susan talking about neutralizing resistance and me as the primary obstacle. Marcus, it seemed, had experience dealing with uncooperative property owners. Marcus arrived on a Saturday, all smiles and Florida charm, snapping touristy photos and gushing about Maryland's scenery. I almost bought it, maybe I was paranoid. But that facade crumbled when Susan called an emergency HOA meeting, hyping a safety revelation. The Oakwood Community Center was packed with 50 residents as Susan unveiled a PowerPoint that looked like a CIA briefing. She'd tracked 72 vehicles, 28 individuals, and created behavioral pattern analysis, accusing me of running an illegal operation. Neighbors gasped, some nodded, worried about property values. Rachel pushed back, calling it harassment, but Susan went live on social media, demanding a news investigation. That's when Marcus's mask slipped. His tourist act vanished, replaced by a predator scanning exits, making frantic calls, and signaling like a trained operative. Then Agent Carter stormed in, flashing her badge. "End that broadcast now," she ordered. "This is a classified FBI operation protecting a witness who's saved countless lives." The room froze. Susan's phone hit the floor as reality sank in. Rachel grinned, vindicated. Neighbors like Mrs. Carter, who'd backed Susan, apologized profusely. But the real shock came when Carter revealed Susan's obsessive photos had accidentally captured Victor Morales, an arms dealer the FBI had hunted for years. Susan's harassment had unwittingly helped crack a major case. Marcus's behavior during this chaos screamed danger. While everyone processed the FBI bombshell, he was snapping photos of Carter's car and asking Susan about back roads with spotty cell service. My military instincts kicked into wasn't a tourist. At 2 a.m. Tuesday, Marcus and 3 associates launched a full-scale assault on my cabin with night vision, lockpicks, and illegal weapons. The witness, recognizing Marcus's voice as Diego Alvarez, a hitman who'd killed his partner, triggered an alert. Within minutes, Oakwood became a war zone. FBI tactical teams, Local police and federal marshals swarmed in. I helped set up civilian evacuations as Rachel coordinated neighbors and Mark bridged agencies. They arrested Marcus and his crew, uncovering plans to kill 12 witnesses across 6 states, plus a network spanning Florida to New York. Susan's breakdown was gut-wrenching. "I brought killers here," she sobbed, realizing she'd been groomed for 18 months. Marcus had exploited her grief since David's funeral, coaching her HOA run and embezzlement, $68,000 total. Her prison sentence 4 years for fraud and obstruction came with a foreclosed home and community exile. Marcus got 18 years, his landscaping front exposed as a cover for a $3.2 million criminal empire. His files revealed a chilling network targeting witnesses nationwide. Oakwood transformed. Rachel became HOA president, enforcing transparency. My clinic boomed, and I started a veteran support network. Mark's promotion made him a sheriff contender. Agent Carter rose to regional director, and the Safehouse program adopted new protocols. Susan's old house went to Major Thomas Hayes, a veteran whose family restored its warmth. Their son, Liam, took his first steps in that yard, pointing at my cabin and saying hero. Justice came in convictions and in hope reborn. But here's what keeps me up at night. How did Marcus know exactly which buttons to push with Susan? Who else in his network is still out there, hunting witnesses? And could your neighbor be hiding a secret that endangers everyone? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that'll keep you guessing.